Now for animating an item out, let's say we wanted to have two different animations which take a different amount of time. So two different animations would be rather easy. Here is where we animate out, and we're having this style being set up during the animate function. And if we now want to have a second style, we could add a new animate function here. And let's say here we simply want to change the text color to red. Now if I save this, let's see what happens if I do animate out the item on the bottom list. If I click on milk, well, it's invisible before I see the color turn to red. That is not really optimal. So if I switch the order here, so that I at least see this, let's see if it at least works how it should work. If I click an item, it gets red and then is animated out. But what if I wanted to have both at the same time, but maybe with different timings, so that I don't wait for one animation to finish before starting the next? I can do this by passing or by using the group method. That's also a method to be imported by Angular 2, or from Angular Core, I mean. Yeah. So from Angular Core. And in this group method here, as an argument, we pass an array of animations we want to perform synchronously, so at the same time. So here I can now pass my two animate methods, and I'll give it different durations so that we can clearly see that both happens at the same time. And now if I save this and we let it reload, let's remove an item. You see, it turns red whilst moving, but it moves slower than it takes to turn it red. And this is how we can use animation group to group multiple animations with possibly different timings together to have them happen at the same time and animate different things over, as you see here, possibly different durations. To wrap this animation introduction up, there are a couple of callbacks you can listen to, so that when an animation finishes, you might want to execute some other code. So here in app component, let's say on that div element here, we can listen to these callbacks here. We set up event binding, but then again with the @ sign to indicate that we're in the animation world, like here with the property binding where we also use the @ sign. We set up the trigger here, so div state for this div, and then we got the start and the done trigger. This method will get executed whenever the animation starts. So here we could say animation started, execute this method, and let's pass the event exposed by Angular 2 to see what's inside of it. And I also wanna listen to the finishing with the done event on our trigger, animation ended, and also pass the event there. And then in the app component, I want to set up the two methods here. So animation started, which receives some event. And here I want to simply log this event so that we can see what's inside. And then animation ended with the event. And also log this event here. With that, let's save this and reload this application here. And now if I click animate, you see we had the starting and the ending animation fired, and here you see what's inside the event. We see the starting state, the to state, and the timing. And the same is true, or the same data is part of the animation ended event object Angular 2 gives us. So these callbacks might be useful for you if you have some code which animates something, but after the animation finishes, you want to execute some other code. And you can do that by listening to these built-in start and done events on your trigger. I hope with that you feel a bit more comfortable using animations. You got a nice introduction to how you might create your own animations in Angular 2, how you can animate things in your Angular 2 application. And with that, play around with it. Set your own challenges. Take your existing projects, maybe the recipe book, and animate some things. This is a challenge. This is where you'll learn the most. See you in other modules. Bye. Hi everyone, welcome to this video. In this video, we'll turn a online-only Angular application into an offline available one by adding a service worker. And as you will see, this is super easy to do with Angular, and I will show you how to turn it into such an application and how you can then also configure it to fully meet your needs. So let's dive in. We'll start with this very simple Angular application here, and you can find the code to that project attached to this video. And this is obviously a very, simple, not too exciting Angular app. It is rendering a list of blog posts, dummy blog posts, which are fetched in our app component here from JSON placeholder. Well, that is just a page exposing a dummy REST API, which you can use to get some demo data to display on your page. You can also send dummy post requests to them and so on, but that's not what we'll do. We'll focus on getting data. So this is a normal Angular app, not too many features, but it represents a typical Angular app. We got more than one component, and we also got our posts. And if you watch closely, you see I'm also using some special font, which I'm actually pulling in my index.html file. Here, I'm importing this Oswald font here from Google Fonts. So this is what makes up our Angular app. Now, if we inspect it in Chrome, we can go to the Application tab here in the Developer Tools, and we can turn this to offline mode, which means we're still online. We don't have to quit our Wi-Fi network, but this will simulate that we got no internet connection. And if I now reload the page, well, obviously I get an error that we don't have an internet connection. If I go back online, it works again. Now let's see how we can actually fix this or change this behavior with the help of a service worker, and how we can easily add such a service worker to the app with Angular.